like he finally gave us. Because we didn't even know the impact of what he was doing for us at that point in time. It was just like some people were like, wala ma yin got for you. Is he the only teacher? Why is he stressing us? But some of us were just discussing these things. Then I went on to go into the university, and it was in the university that I discovered that I had so much time on my hands, because I wasn't a very social child. I wasn't very social as a child. So I would go to school or the university, attend my classes, and after the classes, there are certain days in the university where you only have a course or two to take in a day. And then the rest of the day, you have it to yourself. So the rest of the day became something that I needed to fill up with activities. And since I had developed a love for reading, the natural place for me to keep going to was the departmental library, the school library, and then I began to go to the local government library as well. I must have read most of the books in those places in the 3-4 years that I was there. And with reading so much also came that desire to be able to say there's so much inside of you, so many ideas that you're dying to explore, right? And I began to look for a vehicle, an outlet for those stories, for those ideas that were coming to my mind. And that's how I began to experiment with writing. I started the experimentation with writing by looking at, if I read something that I particularly enjoy, I try to recreate it in my own way. That was how I started. That was how I started. That was how I started. I would try to recreate, maybe I read a particular story, I read a particular play, I read a particular poem. I try to recreate it in a way, in my own way, and from there, I would show it to people. People would tell me, oh, it's beautiful. But I wasn't looking for somebody to tell me it was beautiful. I was looking for somebody who would look at it and tell me what was missing. Who could show me how to do it better. So gradually, I began to grow into all of these things. I thought to start this way so that you understand how that it is later in life that some of these things that you are going through, being exposed to, begin to make meaning to you. Sometimes it looks like that teacher, that mommy, that daddy, that uncle, that auntie is just stressing you out. He or she is just boring. Yes, it was like that for me too. But a few years down the line, the importance of those things began to make more sense to me.
Amazing. So while Mr. Sabi was talking, a very special guest walked into the building. Please, with a round of applause, let's welcome Professor Aiju Ibekwasi as also comes up on stage. Come on, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So I think let's just go back to Prof now. sorry that I had to put you on the spot. I didn't let you rest. So it's this thing with. I think I will ask the same question as Ayo Yeku, that writing for young adults. Is this something, when you started, was this something that you said, this was what I wanted to do? Was this something that you said, or was it just something you said, you felt like, you know what, let's do something for young adults?
Actually, for me, it was more like an accident that was already programmed to happen. You know, it was not something I very consciously at some time said I was going to write for children. I had always seen people of my age as my readers. But you see, I have 3 kids. I have 3 boys. And you know what it is when you want to grow up with your children? It meant that since I met those 3 kids, my life was never the same. And what it meant was that they took me into a lot of experiences. And what that 11
By
was,
11:30, hopefully I can
it
figure
looked
out
as if I was
his
having a
name.
second childhood.
What are they doing by 11?
My
Yeah.
own childhood.
This one is one
And the
space
childhood
station,
these kids
It
were
will last how many hours?
immersing me.
9 to 11:30.
You know, so it was more like trying to drag me into my own childhood, which was fading.
Where is it? Ibolo Tishi.
And they succeeded tremendously in dragging me
No,
into
come
their
on,
own
Shishi.
childhood.
Ibolo Tishi.
You know, I remember people would come to the house and
Is
look
it
at
even
my
open?
wife and say, you two, you have become a boy.
Where?
No.
So it meant something was really happening.
You have
That
already
you
typed
will stay
it.
in
Ibolo
the
type
same
it.
room.
Kí ni mo type ẹ̀ sí?
And suddenly, or the kitchen, now has become a football field already.
Mi ò rí nǹkan kan.
You know? And
Oh.
too many things like that.
It's not there.
People will come to the house, or some people will say, no, they won't come to the house again.
You want me to download
Because
it?
these kids have turned the house into a kind of zoo. You know, my wife, for instance, she will not see a matchbox and take it off.
Tí n bá ti download
No.
ẹ̀, kí ni kí n ṣe?
If she sees a matchbox,
This is-
she
this
has
one
to
looks
use a
like-
stick to touch it.
Okay.
I'm coming. Let me.
Because one time she took up a matchbox to light the stove, and it was a scorpion inside. You see, there was nothing those kids didn't do. They were rearing scorpion, they were rearing tortoise, they were rearing, just a snake was the last one I said no to. Because the young man, I think the youngest of the little child came to me and said that the brother has a snake. I said, you must be joking. And he said, oh, there is a snake. And I really went and I saw there was a snake. And they had been feeding this snake grasshoppers. So you see, when you have such an experience, there is that urge to write about it. You know? And for instance, I remember a squirrel. I don't remember what really happened with that squirrel.
For now,
But they managed to get a squirrel. And they were rearing that, and that squirrel was running everywhere in the house. It became so domesticated. But one unfortunate day, I don't know what happened. I think it got waged.
me real. I saw the one from the stream.
Let me see.
And my wife's thing was throw it away. They went and put it in the freezer.
Where are you taking? No.
And she, by the time she discovered,
EOS,
I mean, it was
Bada.
something she didn't imagine any Christian would.
Bada. EOS.
So here was a dead this thing in the freezer. And I said, guys, there is no point.
Let's check
Don't
this
do it
place.
away. Let's have a burial ceremony. Do you know they issued that invitation
Baba, you
to their
block
parents to come
camera
and attend the
me.
burial ceremony? Really?
Yemi.
Oh yes. So you see, when you have had that kind, in fact, another crazy thing. I come from a place in the east. I come from Enugu, and we believe that in my hometown there is a place where God used to live. We believe that seriously. But actually, what happened was that the caveman used to live there.
What did
So
you
it's a
just
cave,
say?
and if you go into that cave,
I think
you will
it's-
see
But then it's in
everything
a
is made
zip
of
file.
stone.
let's see the.
Utensils, everything is made of stone, and they are just scattered there. And my people believe that God was living there, but my people were too troublesome, and so God has sent them into heaven. I made the mistake of telling my kids that story. And the next thing, they went to school and broadcast.
Camera is showing.
So what it meant, they were telling the whole story. They attended the Catholic school, you know.
Sorry, I'm seeing so many free ants.
It meant they were turning the whole Catholic catechism upside down
You mean volunteer?
about the
Yeah.
creation of
Okay,
the
do you
world.
need any?
I need someone
At
to
any
help
rate-
me do content.
One time the head teacher sent for
Do you
me
edit videos?
and said my son said that.
You know what?
And then you start defending what your son, they are the engineers, but you are the one
So
to
that you can have somebody
defend
that
them.
can
So the
indicate
point I'm trying to make
that
is,
skill you.
when you have had that kind of experience,
Yes.
Because if I get a random person, the person
you want to
cannot do it.
record it.
Show me
So
what
for me, that
is
is
the
where
in a video.
writing for children came
I
about.
don't think there is an
You
editing
know?
software on
And
here.
so what this means is that
This one
I have
is-
written
how
3
would I
books for
edit it?
children.
I know I'm coming on.
Because I'm writing for children who are at the age my children were when they were carrying out
Let
all
me
these
search for
escapades.
basic editing apps on here.
So that's why it's came about. That's why I say it's like an accident
CapCut Pro, please be
that was doomed to happen.
So does that work
Where's
for
the
you?
phone? Where's the phone? I need to call you.
Amazing. Please, a round of applause for
Oh, that's
And also, while Prof was speaking, we had one of our guests also come in. Please, I want you to please make welcome Ndidi Chiazo and Amasi also comes up on stage. Thank you very much. Please kindly have your seat. And so that I do justice to all the guests that we have, and so that I can also know them, while I introduce Prof, I simply just welcome them, but so that I can know who Prof is. Ejime Sekwasi, according to his profile, you see, there is someone who is also short of words like me, has earned numerous awards in poetry as well as numerous credits in film. His first children's novel, How Mouths to Walk Before I Sleep, received wide critical acclaim and is beginning to be classified as gateway literature. It lives in Ibadan. Also, this is the last one he's published. No, not the last one. The one that I wrote as a gateway literature, the third side of a coin. And also introducing Ndidi Chiazo and she's an award-winning author of several books. She writes for both adults and children. A novel, If They Tell the Story, won the Anna Prose Prize of 2022. Our teen fiction, A Hero's Welcome, was nominated for the Nigerian Prize for Literature in 2019. Our children's book, One Little Mosquito, won the Anna Prize for Children's Literature in 2009. Being a strong advocate for education beyond the classroom, Ndidi has engaged in several activities to stimulate outdoor learning. She has collaborated with several agencies to bring African stories on stage under the auspices of Project Road Aloud and Tell, Brainchild, and in partnership with the Goethe Institute and Alliance Française. Several series of the program have been held over the years. Pratt is designed to promote creative instinct in school children through stage performance. And he also holds a Master of Arts degree in English Literature from the University of Lagos. She's married, blessed with children. Glad to have you. So, yeah, please, a round of applause. A round of applause for her. And I think I'll ask the same question to you. Writing for young adults, was it something? Was it just like Prof was saying, something that came by accident? So for you also, was it an accident or something that was just out of the conscious level of saying, I want to write for young adults?
It's a pleasure being here. My name is Lily, like he already introduced me. So writing for me was not an accident. But I remember clearly my very first book was a children's book. It's a picture book. I will always eat my food. It was inspired by my daughter. She was little then and she hated to eat food. She's always picky, So that inspired me to write that picture book. I will always eat my food. And then when other mothers, when they I get a lot of feedback, they say, oh, after I read your book to my daughter or my son, he started eating. So I was pleased and I decided to take it, further from there. And then I was living in an area in Lagos, then Alimosho, very close to where we have Sweet Pharmacy. It used to be Roach. And each time I'm coming back from work, I will see that they say that each day a number of children die every day from malaria. And it got me thinking that I think so many children die every day, not every week, not every month, but every day from malaria. So I now started thinking, what can I do? And then I launched the Health is Well children's book series, and I wrote my second book, One Little Mosquito, which is a chapter book for older children, no longer picture book, And I had this intention of making children aware of their environment and what they can do to help curb the incidence of malaria. And malaria is bred by the female Anopheles mosquito, So then I have to weave a story through it, because sometimes when you're talking to children about health, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. But when you put it in a story form, they will be, it will be enjoyable for them, and then they can assimilate the message you're trying to pass across. So that was very deliberate on my part to put it in a story form. A child who was planning to celebrate her 10th year birthday, but suddenly she came down with malaria and she was admitted in the hospital. Even on the day of her birthday party, she was on admission, and her friends came and celebrated with her in absentia. Wow. But when she now got back to school, that got her motivated to do something about malaria, and then she formed a health club in her school. They cleaned the environment, they started educating the community what they can do to help curb malaria. So from there, each book I write for young adults and all of that, I always want to motivate the young adult or the child to do something. Like my last children's book, A Father's Pride, which made the short list of 3 last year for the Nigerian Prize for Literature. If you read it, you will see it talks about environmental protection and cultural, awareness. And in that same book, a particular child who was being bullied in school, because bullying is a big issue in school. So I tried to, chip in all of this, the dangers of bullying a child, because at the end of the day, that child or that young adult might develop psychological trauma that the child might carry throughout life. So you might be bullying a schoolmate, you don't know the impact of what you're doing. It goes a long way. It might affect those children psychologically. So you shouldn't be a bully. And when you see a child being bullied, you have to report to authorities. So this particular child didn't participate in a particular excursion to the Lekki Conservation Center. But when her friend came back and told her all they did at the Lekki Conservation Center, it also motivated her to form an environmental club in her school to protect the environment, because this earth that we have is the only earth we have, and we have to be conscious about it. So for me, writing for a young adult is deliberate. I always have a message to pass across, so that every young adult, every child who have read my book should be able to do something to affect his or her community.
Amazing. Please a round of applause for when I hear the stories from 3 of you now, I see a connection. And the connection is that your experiences have shaped your writing. Your experiences have shaped and have shaped into something to say, let's do this for other people. But the question now is that it's one thing to have the experience. To write.
That's a tough question, right? I'm thinking what it takes to write for children.
I mean even generally, because I can think that I just want to write about my life in 3 sentences. Back in the day they will give us this essay, myself, and even to write about myself could be a problem, right? But then what does it really take to write? I have this experience, I've learned about this, but then to now actually write.
Okay, there's a quote that says that whatever you attend to, you can become that thing. I don't know if you've heard that.
Again?
Whatever you attend to, you become. Have you heard that phrase before? It's a common phrase, so I'm going to repeat it one more time. Whatever you attend to, you become. So remember when I was talking earlier, I told you that I have a father who made me write an essay every week. So imagine you have 52 weeks in a year, and I do that from when I was in primary 4 till when I was in SS2. So I'm doing that every week. So you're coming up with something, you're writing, you're submitting, he's reviewing it, he's correcting it, he's sending you back, So it's like a culture. So we know that readers, they say that a reader will become a leader. So let's make it simple. A reader will become a writer. If you read a lot, definitely you have something to write. What you now write is now left to you. You understand? So definitely you will write. To now put those things into like a book form, you can learn it. That's a fact. You can actually learn how to be a writer, or sometimes it's intrinsic, something that you are born with. You understand? So because for someone like me, there are stories that I had to go and look for them, and there are stories that came to me naturally. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. There are stories that come fully formed, you just come into your head, they just write it. But there are some stories that you are particular about, like for example, the pictures, it's talking about environmental sustainability, stuff like that. Those are deep topics. And most likely it will just land in your head at once. You have to sit down with it and be like, how can I break this down into something that people can connect with? How can I educate them? And do you understand? So for me, basically, I'll just circle you back to what I said, which is whatever you attend to, you can actually become. Right from a very young age, I've been a writer, even though I was in the science class. How many of you are science students? Okay, cool. So there's other scientists here. So don't feel like you should jump ship and go into arts. I never left science. And in the university I studied physics. So I'm a physicist.
You studied physics?
Yes.
Amazing.
So I read a lot of quantum physics. If you are looking for me, you hardly see me discussing politics. I'm reading something about black hole. Pure science. So that's something you see a lot in this book. So I read a lot of stuff about science. I love science because it will stretch your mind. It will actually stretch your mind. So I never went into arts at any point in my career. I've always been a scientist. I'm still in love with science, but I know how to write. Do you understand? So it's something that if you attend to it, you can actually know how to do it. Either you choose to go and learn how to do it, or maybe you have that intrinsic ability, then you just keep it alive and keep doing it. Then just create a community with people and friends that people that don't read.
So there's a popular saying that practice makes perfect. You know, you have to practice. You can't just say you're a writer without actually writing. You know, some people who just be saying, "Oh, I'm a writer," but if you ask them produce what you have written, they have nothing to show. So you keep on writing. When you come to an environment, even as we are here, you can be observing. It might just be somebody's clothes that will give you an inspiration. You know, you observe your environment. You can even observe how we are seated. It can just spoil your imagination and give you, you know, something to write about. So, for you to be a good writer, you have to be a good observer. And you also have to read. You have to be a good reader and avid reader. For you to write well, you have to read widely, you know, to also see the writing style of others and see how you can adopt your own writing style. And then don't be discouraged if, you know, maybe when you're writing and you've submitted it to a publishing house and they reject it, don't be discouraged. You know the writer of the Harry Potter series. If you know how many publishers have rejected her before she was now accepted, and now she's a millionaire just by writing books. So don't be discouraged. Keep on writing, keep a notebook, and then you should always have a pen and a notebook wherever you go, because an idea might just come, an inspiration might just strike you, and you might need to put it down. Because if you don't write it down, you might likely forget. So always make sure you have a pen, you have a notebook with you. Wherever you go, observe your environment, observe the surrounding, observe the people, how they speak, and all of that. But above all, you must read widely. You know, you must be a good reader, an avid reader, for you to be a good writer.
Thank you. Prof, please help us answer that question.
I think I'll just connect the dots. You see, it's simply not enough that one has the passion to write, but it will be, who are you writing for? You know, remember, nobody is forced to read your book. Nobody is forced to read what you're writing. Are you writing a diary, which is for you? But if you are really writing for somebody out there, or for some people out there, you see, that's why I say passion is not just enough. Let me just digress a little. Go out to the bus stops, see 10 Nigerians who are holding books. I'm telling you that 9.5 of the books you find them holding are inspirational works. You know, how to do this, how to become a millionaire, how to do. These inspirational works are out there. They are also writers. You see, what if we are dealing with creative writing, the issue becomes more pressing is, who do you want to read this? Who is your audience? Who is your interpreter? At the moment you can actually work out that, you're almost halfway through. Because it means you must make it interesting to that person. That's what the challenge is. When we talk of the challenges of the blank sheet of paper, then you bring a blank sheet of paper and you are there, you sit for 3 hours, and no word has come into your mind. Or you spend the whole night. I remember Professor George was saying that he and Okibo, I wonder if you remember it. He and Okibo went. He said he went to Okibo's place. He was the one younger person. And they spent the night in each person in his own corner trying to write shorts. And he was tearing himself apart that he didn't write much by the time it was morning. And by the time they came out in the morning, Okibo had only 3 lines. And he was happy he had those 3 lines.
He is too far.
So what I'm trying to say, the passion is there, but the thing to write for, this person I'm writing for, is he going to be in prison or forced to be?
You know,
Because there are the other
I
books
think,
out there.
well, like,
So what will make him pick your own book and read? I think that's what the greatest challenge is. It then means that you have to,
this person,
like
hello,
we say
see
in literature,
this man, see where he's
You have to touch his life space.
Hello, what's up? Where are you?
Any book that doesn't touch anybody's
Hey, I'm
life
inside
space,
now.
it just falls out there. It's just so much paper.
ICC, just
You
come
know?
inside. You
And what do I mean by
then
touching the
you,
life
if you are
space?
coming for Iba Fest.
Take a book like
It's not Iba Fest event.
not 1984.
Yeah, Iba Fest.
Animal Farm. You've read Animal Farm?
You see them, they will direct you to it.
Animal Farm is all about
Maybe it's
animals.
ICC you are.
But that book touches your
You are
life
a
space.
second gate.
You know,
yeah.
you read it
Just
and you are
enter.
beginning to say Molly, Boxer, Napoleon. You are beginning to identify people in your life. That will wear the gap of those people.
Huh?
That's what you mean when you say a walk touches
Yeah,
your
Iba
life
Fest,
space.
Iba Fest.
But there's a story I like to tell from
Yeah.
Shoyinka. Shoyinka tells this story in his book. I don't know if you, Olarotimi, God rest his soul in peace, one of the greatest dramatized playwrights we ever had. You know, he was almost physically challenged. He was not a very tall man. You know? So, Rotimi tells his story of during the Civil War. He was driving from Ibadan where he was going to Delhi. He was married to an African American and who was undisguisedly a foreigner. You see how you see a foreigner. And Rotimi was riding a big car. So Rotimi was in this big car carrying his foreigner wife and his children who looked like foreigners. And they were driving to Promise. And when they came to a point, the policeman stopped. Rotimi says one of the policemen asked him to move. And so he moved. Another policeman, they were told that came and said, why did you move? You want to show your academy and that you have a white man. So you want to show that you're nobody. They come out from the car. And then spread, say I'm going to give you 24 bulala. And spread him out on the bonnet of his car. And the man says, which is where Shoyinka always comes in. And the man said, he could resist this man. But what will happen? His wife will become a widow, and his children will become fatherless. And the wife is a foreigner. How would she go? So he says, what he then did was that he spread himself on the car and took 24 lashes. Wow. Now, Shoyinka tells this story. And Shoyinka will tell you that when he remembers this story, even if he's shaving, his hand will start shaking and he will cut himself. Wow. So what is this? It means that that story has touched Shoyinka's life space. You are beginning to wonder, if I'm Olarotimi, will I do that? If I'm the wife of Olarotimi, will I let him do that? Will I go and spread myself on the toilet? If I'm the chief, if I won't we come out and say they kill us also. It's what I'm trying to say. It's not who did what or who did not. I'm trying to talk about this issue of touching the life space. So if the story you are going to tell does not touch anybody's life space, it's a business story.
I'm actually moving out.
You may have 200 pages, but it didn't touch anybody. So it must be a story, and that is why there are many books in the library, but you pick out this story. I never force myself to read a book. If anywhere the book becomes disinteresting, I drop it. You know? So the issue for me, I think, for the writer, is that the experiences are all out there. The people, the readers are all out there, all potential. But are you able to touch their life space?
So I think that we are getting to the technicality of everything right now. But before we get there, there's also something that connects the experiences of all of you here, is that there was a community, a reading community. I saw that, a reading community. But right about now, and some would like to argue that because back then there were less options. Before people open, let's say, to 4 p.m. and will finish by 10 p.m. So there was hardly anything you could do except for read. But now we are in an age, we're in the age where we have options. Your phone is there, television is there, options everywhere. So enough things, more than enough things to go around to distract you. But then there's something that connects everyone together in the sense that there's that community of reading. For example, you spoke about how your dad had books. You spoke about how you had people around you. Prof also has his own story about books around him and the people. But now that we are in the age of options, where they will tell you that what's the essence of a physical book? Why don't you do a phone, read from your phone, and that's enough distraction. By the time you open your phone, you have notifications piled up, and at the end of the day, you can't even read anything. And I'm speaking even from a personal standpoint now. You want to do some serious things on your phone, but then you can't do it because you still have to attend to notifications. And unless you maybe switch off or get your phone to airplane mode, you can't do anything. So my question basically is that now that we have young adults, young people dealing with options, this one is calling their attention. This is calling their attention. Even school, even to focus on academic work, is struggle. Why? Because there is enough options to go around to distract. How do we maintain that balance now? Right? Only from your own experience into this new generation where we now have lots of options. And I think I'll start with you. How do we bridge that gap? How can we help young adults? How can they know how to deal with these things?
Okay, you're right, because the young people are being challenged by a lot of options, the screen time, mobile devices and all of that. But you have to be deliberate. Parents have to be deliberate. Teachers have to be deliberate, and the young adults themselves. What do you actually want? What is your, what do you want to become in the future? Do you just want to be distracted by everything, the internet and all of that? So being deliberate is one thing, and I also encourage parents to make sure they have good books at home, because we cannot be telling children, you have to read and you have to read, and there are no books. So books have to be, then the schools should make sure they have a library. Even if you don't have a full-fledged library, you can just create a reading room where stock good quality literature for the children and the young adults, and also make sure you put it in their timetable, maybe reading time. Children should not just read to pass an exam. They should not just read textbooks in order to pass an exam. So beyond that, you can also form book clubs in school, where you introduce a particular book for the month or for the term. At the end of each, or let all the students write a review of what they have read. So we have to be deliberate about these things, because if we don't do that, we are going to raise a generation. Even when you look at some essays that students write, you see them using, they want to say times, they will say TNX, and a lot of them will carry this into exam hall, abbreviations that shouldn't be tolerated. So you have to read books. Don't all just get focused on the internet. So teachers have a lot of roles to play. Parents have a lot of roles to play. So creation of book clubs in schools. As you live here today, you can be the champion of that goal, to form a book club in your school if it doesn't exist already. You can exchange books with one another. I remember growing up, you read this book, then you give your friend, the friend will give you the one he has read. But I don't think that is happening anymore. So we have to go back and start all these things all over again. Form a book club in your school, a reading club and all of that. Make sure that there are reading rooms or libraries in all schools. Because so many schools are now paying attention to coding, all sorts of things, really getting reading to the background. So we have to be deliberate about these things and go back to the roots, because it will help us. A child who reads, a young adult who reads, will eventually be, perform academically well in his classes. Even if you're a science student, like Ayo said, it doesn't matter. When you read a lot, you see yourself performing very well in other subjects that you're in. So don't just read to pass an exam. Make sure even if you're on a public bus, make sure you have a book with you, not a mobile device. Go to the library, visit bookshops and pick books. And when your friends are celebrating birthdays, learn to buy books as gifts for them. Yeah, very important. Learn to buy books. So even if you're having a birthday and you want to do a giveaway, let the books be the giveaway you're giving for your birthday parties and all other parties.
So I have a question about books, but I'll hold that thought. But let's hear from Ayo.
I hope you all listen to what she said. Okay, so I won't go that route. So I think I should tell you guys a story instead, so that something to stick in your mind. So let's do this way. Story. Once upon a time. Okay. So there was a boy, and there was a tree, and that tree happens to be a apple tree, an apple. So the boy, when he was very little, he would go under the apple tree, play under its shade, climb the branches, eat the fruits, count the leaves, have fun, and the apple tree was always looking forward to meeting the boy every weekend so that they could play together. By the time the boy became a young adult and came back to play with the apple tree, I was like, okay, let's play. And the boy says, no, I don't really want to play with you. I've gone to an age where I think I need to start making money. Can you give me money? So the apple tree says, I can't give you money, but I have fruits. Maybe you should pluck as many as you want and sell them. That way, you have money, then we can play together. The boy plucks all the fruits and leaves and doesn't come back until when he becomes a man. By the time he comes back as a man, the apple tree is happy and says, you are back, my friend, let's play together. The man says, no, I'm not here to play with you. I'm a man and I need to have a roof over my head to take care of my family. Can you give me a house? The tree says, actually, I can't give you a house, but if you chop off the branches, you might be able to build a house. So the boy goes ahead and chops off all the branches and uses it to build a house for himself and his family. And he leaves, he doesn't come back. Then, at the point, the boy was now going to like in his 50s and 60s. He comes back again and sees the tree and can we play together now? And he says, no, I want to see the world. I need to travel. My friends are traveling and going to places. Can you give me a boat? Maybe if you give me a boat, maybe that will make me happy. He says, oh, you have your own trunk this time around. You can just chop up the tree and leave the stump and use that to build a boat. And the man does exactly that and goes up and he sees the world. By the time he comes back, he's now old and frail. When he comes, the tree says, you're back. What do you want this time? I don't have fruits, I don't have leaves, I don't have branches, I don't have anything, just this stump. Then the man says, I just want to sit next to you, just to enjoy the moment. What I'm trying to say is, it's a truth, it's a book, it's called The Giving Tree. So I didn't create that, this is, you know. So what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, everything comes back to the book. There are distractions, there will always be distractions. Your generation fights for likes on social media. You fight for attention. Imagine something that is not even real. It's not even real. Like, it's just a young guy sitting right in front of me, but his friends online, maybe they're like 10,000. They're telling that he's the greatest thing on planet Earth. And he believes that. Do you get it? Books don't lie. You're going to pick them, you're going to read them, you're going to use those books to shape your life. In my generation, maybe there wasn't internet in the big sense of it, but there were distractions too. Don't get carried away. Just like Prof was saying that his kids will play with animals and all that. I did that too. My brother and I did a lot of that. Recently, I still caught a ladybird for my little girl. Like, these things we did as a child. You should come and have an experience of the kind of things we did. Obviously, she doesn't want that. She wants to play with her tablets. I know that. Do you understand? So there were distractions to our in our own when we were very young. But some of us chose to pick the books, to let those books shape our life and shape our mind, so that we can have a kind of well-rounded experience about life. Do you understand? Most of the questions that are bothering your mind, the answers are inside books. Trust me, the answers are not on social media, because social media is all about verbs. These verbs, what we call likes, views, and all those kind of things. So anybody can come up and say, the president is a fool, and you can see 1 million people say exactly, and you for a young man, you feel like, okay, maybe it's good to insult the president. Do you understand? Somebody is deceiving you just for remember the tree and remember the boy. Do you understand the story? You go all through your life, you come back to the book because the answers you are looking for are here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prof, please.
If this were a mature audience, I would totally disagree with them. But you see, if I did that, it will require a lot of explanation. You see, but there is something. about generation. We never prepare for the new generation. You see, we always refuse to recognize that the schism, time will just come and make before and after. And throw a big line between before and after. You see, here we are. Is writing or reading or the values of reading will be gotten from after. There is something not quite working. Yes, the structural indices are there. What society should do. You know, for this. But society doesn't just go one way. Let me give you an example. Like I told you, I grew up with my 3 kids. I even started dressing like them. You know? Because if you have to be in your world, you have to be in their world. But I wanted them to. They all wanted to do science. I had no problem with that. But I said, okay, what somebody has said. If you read books, you are smarter. So I made sure they did literature.
Hey, it's upside down.
But the point I'm trying to make
It's upside down.
is that I had this very big problem with my wife. Why do you want to bother them to register literature at West African certificate exam? When that is not the way.
What's your No. Landscape.
But they did.
Landscape.
I have a nephew growing up with me. I buy him the same books I bought my kids. And it's not, anytime you pick them up, the mother says, come bring your attention. So what I'm trying to say, the cleavages are there. But then where does the writer come in here? You see, technology is changing everything. I'm going to write for these kids here. And what are the media that they have immediate access to? It's the social media. If I start writing in the old tradition, I will lose them. So it means that if I have to write for them, my paragraph structure will be different. I won't have a paragraph that is going to go into 10 lines.
But the lightning.
Take the social media, the ones you read on Facebook or even on Instagram. They are short paragraphs. Almost like what the newspaper used to do in those days. Because the newspaper recognizes that nobody has all the time in the world to read the newspaper. You may be in the bus, you may be in the car. So they make their paragraphs very short. Then you can sweep it and take it on. So you see, where the writer comes in here, yes, what the society should do is there. But where the writer comes in here is to structure his work the way social media gets are structured. So you are giving the child an option. Because if you make it the traditional book, you know, you can force a horse to the river. But getting that horse to drink is a problem. What I said on in the US, which is very interesting. I read a lot. I read a lot. But my reading has declined since I discovered the audio novel.
Hey.
I see what they have done is that they have audio novels that are 10 minutes. Because they realize your data is funny. If you come to my this, you know, anything you go to, anything you start getting, they send you, they keep sending it to you. Come and see it here. So I get all these things, more than 12 a day. And anytime I'm sitting down, I'm driving, I just put it on, I listen to it.
Wait, sorry.
So I don't read, but I listen. So the writer must begin to go with technology.
Wait, I'm confused here.
In several ways.
Why is it confused?
If it is writing the audio story, we start writing the audio story. Because every child who is in JS1 already has this. So be inventive with the audio story. And they are usually, in fact, was it Ethel that started this 1 minute story? Was it Ethel, one of these networks?
Okay.
No, wait,
He started it, that you tell a story for 1 minute, and there was a prize going for it. And there's still a lot of medical students or doctors who won that prize. You see, in modern, what technology has done is that we have no time. So, writers must be aware of that. How do you arrest this child for writing? Within the few minutes he can start to read. And And not just to read, he can listen. That's the point I'm trying to make. So the stories can be, you see, the textbook started it. You create a textbook, you create the video version. But we've gone away from that. And all I'm trying to say is that technology must come into control, and that the writer himself must take technology into account.
But please, a round of applause for Prof. Two more questions, but I'd like to let you know that if you have questions, please let me know. Who has questions? If you have questions, let me see your hands. You must have questions, oh. You must have questions. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so so number one, we have our number one question. Who else has a question? Please, yes, we have number two there, so take it. So let me just, so another one, two, three. Yeah, so I just wanted to know, okay, so we have three questions. Now, Mike, you spoke about buying books, but now that books are expensive, at least thankfully I have opportunity to be in the space. The average cost of books, of a book right now is 10,000 naira. 10,000 naira. Unlike when you could get a book for as low as 300, and then we saw it rise 500, 1,000, and then the average price you could get right now is 10,000, and maybe once in a while you can get 6,000. So, don't you think that will affect the reading culture? And I don't know if we have a solution, and this is for everybody on the panel. How do we go about this?
Don't forget that I talked about having, forming reading clubs. I also talked about exchanging books with one another. I also talked about visiting the libraries. So you don't have to own all the books you have to read. You may set a target that I want to read 30 books in a year. You don't have to buy the whole 30 books. We have private libraries cropping up. The government is disappointing us. We don't have the national libraries and the state libraries functioning anymore. There are a lot of NGOs that are coming up with private libraries, at least I know of. Even in this Ibadan, I was in Ibadan a few months ago on the invitation of a book club, Bolale Book Club in Ibadan, somewhere in Bodija. They invited me. I came from Lagos to have a reading session for all the children. They only bought 3 copies of my book, Say Father's Pride, but it was read aloud, and everybody, they exchanged it, they passed it around. So, the economy is hard. So the book also, producing a book is equally expensive. I know what a ream of paper used to cost like 3 or 4 years ago, but now it's no longer the same. So the book industry is being affected by our own economy, the larger economy. So in order to continue reading, like I said, form book clubs, and then you can decide, okay, let me buy this book, and my friend buys the other book. When we finish, we exchange. So there will always be a way around it. There will always be a way around it. So that shouldn't be, I know it's a challenge, but then when we have libraries where we can borrow books from, and we have book clubs, and we exchange with friends, and then, we can also, still remain abreast and still read. And then another thing, in as much as I agree so much with Prof, but don't forget that data is expensive. When we are talking about, reading through our phones, and you have to buy data. But once you've bought a book, you've bought a book. Once you've bought a book, but each time you want to use, maybe you go and listen to an audio book or whatever, you have to buy data in order to go on. And then we should also curtail, in as much as technology is advanced, we have to curtail the young adults' usage of the internet, because it's a lot of distraction. When you go there to do something else, you get distracted, and by the time you know it, you have spent 2 hours on Instagram, you have spent 2 hours on Facebook, on Twitter, and all of that. So we have to curtail our usage of the internet. We have to curtail our usage of the internet in order for us to make time for other things that are equally valuable. Thank you.
Please, a round of applause for her.
I'll just add a little to what this Didier said, which is
Can I have some of the pictures?
everything centers around the culture you create for yourself. The same way you have
Can I
this,
just post
talk to your generation, the way you have this love for iPhones. Is there anyone in this room that doesn't like iPhone? Raise your hand. I know you all like iPhones. Aha. So only few people here would say they're not crazy about iPhones, because it creates a sort of status symbol for you, right? When people see you pop up with your phone and you're like, that's really cool. That was how it was for us then when we were younger, when you are talking about books. And I'm being serious.
So the only-
You want to even ask a girl out.
There is
Holding a
no-
book, you're just feeling cool. You're just like, have you read Harry Potter? And she's be like, yes, I'm actually reading Caroline King. Have you, I'm being serious
very well.
with you. Because the girl, you have to present yourself as someone that is smart. You know? So, and she too wants to prove to you that she's not someone that you can just walk over. It was a culture, and which is still with us till today. You can't come to, he's not necessarily a writer. Like, for example, my father is not like a career writer. So he had books. My mom had books too. So it's like it was a normal thing for them, for their generation. And you know how much books help our vocabulary. You have a lot to say. So just like when Mrs. was saying that you write thanks, TNX, all those kind of stuff. We will do that because you have a lot of books that you've read. You have a lot of words you want to express so that they will know that you are smart and you know what you're doing, So the reason I'm saying that is because maybe it's about today or maybe it's about tomorrow. Books will always be expensive. Because books have categories. So there are some books that you can get for, let's say, 2,000. There are some books that will go for 10,000. I remember that time when Shinka just You Must Set What I've Done. The first version was super big, big voluminous book. And I went to bookseller, and that time they were selling it for maybe 15,000 naira. I couldn't afford it. But I started saving my money. So by the time they came up with their abridged version, a smaller version, I bought that one. That one was expensive though, but it was something that I could afford. So it's not really about maybe just the economy. Books will always be expensive. Don't forget that. But if you build a culture whereby you are buying books, you are building your own library, you are seeing it as your own form of status symbol, like I'm a reader. Books are cheaper than pizza now. Am I wrong? Books are cheaper than pizza. But if I say, do you want pizza? Your hands will shoot up. You understand? If I say, do you want me to gift you a book? You don't really want that. Or your birthday is coming and your friends want to gift you things. You are thinking of the perfume, the this and that. The books are not there. And to now even make it funny that you don't even know the books you want to buy. That's even disturbing. Like if I say that, okay, can you name 10 female writers in Nigeria? Some of you will struggle. I know all of you will shout Chirona Adichie. I know that. Then after Adichie, what happens? Empty tank. So, do you have that desire to even buy the books? Do you even know the offers? Do you even know the books you want to buy? Some of you, or most of you are seeing me here for the first time. So imagine being a writer for over 21 years and you are knowing it for the first time. So it tells a lot about your desire for these books. So build the culture. There's no other language. Either you are downloading the book, audio, or you are watching it, or this and that. You have to build the culture so that it can shape your life. What you don't have, you can't give. Thank you. Prof, please.
I agree and I don't agree. Well, let me make it clear. If I'm the kind of person who likes pizza, so what's your problem? Yeah, seriously. I like pizza and there's no book out there I want to read. Will you kill me? Good. You see, the point I'm trying to make is that prescription is usually not the way to go. Yes, it's a question of liking. And when you like, you make allowance for that thing that you like.
What do you say about that?
I teach script writing. I teach broadcasting. And what I tell my students, I teach advertising.
Do you know Solomon?
And recognizing it into
That's him. Tell him that when he's done posting, you need the phone to create content. So you're taking short clips, people clapping.
You come into my professor's
Is that your
class.
phone?
If you won't list the number of commercials you saw,
Is it good?
between that.
Wow.
And in the US, anytime you turn, something is being advertised.
Yeah, so because you're supposed to
When
know
you
what
release
he's
it,
doing.
and there's
So
a
just tell him
certain
that
number
when
you
Saturday
will
said
investigate before you
post
walk
it
into
on or whatever,
to
make
attend.
him. I want her to do it for them. I'm actually mad at her. So this is like punishment. Small.
I tell my students, my script writing
She was
students,
supposed to do photography for
you
registration
must do
because
this.
now I have no
They say when you
pictures,
hosted,
just
there's no
videos,
lights.
but no
When you hosted,
pictures.
there is no TV.
And those are
There is no
moments that you
this.
can. I can't tell them,
Guess
oh, go
what I'm
back
trying-
and
what
just
I'm
say, yeah,
doing?
it doesn't make sense.
This is the design level,
So yeah,
but it is not available.
yes.
And so what does that
Not
then
in
cause?
UI.
It then makes it this way that you look for a way. And I think that's the way we are all talking about here. Not the prescriptive way. You are then looking for a way, given that there is somebody out there who likes pizza. I will take pizza over Chimamanda. There is nothing wrong with it. So you see, I think it boils down to the issue of choice. And what I tell my students and what I told my kids, don't ever force yourself to read a book, except you are writing an exam. If you take up a book and start and it's not interesting, drop it. Keep doing that until you get to the book you like, then read it. But what does that mean? You will keep reading to know the one you like. So I have never Solzhenitsyn. Guys, you know about Solzhenitsyn. Solzhenitsyn's archipelago. I've not been able to read, go beyond 20 pages of archipelago. So that was the Nobel Prize winning literature. Above all Nobel Prize winning works. But something in me does not get it. Each time I pick it up, because you talk with friends, you say, let me go and read it. I have not been able to get beyond 20 pages. Have I committed? So you see, it's a question of knowing, that's why I say what touches your threshold, and you're able to sacrifice for this. So keep reading until you find, if it is travel literature that you will read, you find that you love travel. Whether or getting wrong, he's strong in that area now. This guy called Bora.
I want to put the live streaming laptop on that chair. But then, if I can finally set this one up, that's what I will do.
Telling you about the basics. That's travel.
So how do you get
That's education.
That's the
So
problem.
my
That's one thing. How
point
do I
is
even charge the
simply this.
laptop?
Look for that thing. That makes
Wait,
you
come
tick.
on, wait, sorry.
check my
Look for that kind of book, that kind of story.
That's still
that
in your
you love.
chest.
I love autobiography,
I think it's in your chest. So I should check.
but not Nigerian autobiography. Yes. I'll tell you
Ola
why.
said you should use
I read American autobiographies because no holds are
It's
there.
not Momo, but they did not ask us to once.
They tell
It's
you
not just
everything.
downloading. I'm coming.
But take a Nigerian autobiography. You will see that you know this man, you know he did this, you know he served here, but he will just mention it in one sentence and they pass it. But I challenge anybody to go and take, you know what American presidents do? Every American president writes an autobiography, and then there are many biographies. Go and pick up anyone. For me, the best so far is Nixon's Lighthouse Years. I've read that book more than 5 times. Well, many about Kennedy, but none can beat Nixon. And the best autobiography I've read is by this dramatist, Tennessee Williams. Look, let me tell you guys, when you read that book, you will be so disturbed you go and bath. But you will be so worried you want to come and finish it, you go and bath again. You see, the man was a homosexual, but he was a great writer. And when he starts telling you about his life, his struggles, how he decided to let go, the sharpness of the language, the way this man was tortured, everything will captivate you. You know? And then you feel very dirty after reading that book. You know? But the book has such a great. So I'm trying to say that.
Position.
When I discovered I like autobiography, I started down.
See, but how much is the camera? Just like 5.
For autobiography. So my challenge is find out what interests you. But to find it out, you have to read a lot. To know
But then,
what
like,
you
it's
don't
not
want.
even movement.
But having found out that one that interests you, I bet you will prefer it to pizza.
Please, a round of applause for Prof. So, just two more things before we leave here. I'm going to take the questions now. I think we have 4 hands raised, so we can't take more than 4 questions. And after the questions, our guests will read from their books, and I'm sure that you're going to love it. So, please, I think we have our number one, sir. We have, please, the mic for her. She has a question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Prof.
Peculiar.
I do get what you're saying. I'm listening to you, but I have a question. how do young people, especially in this age, now
Can you go
be
and undo that
disciplined
one that is into
and
the screen?
focused?
Turn into
Because
and zoom in.
um,
But for those
the
that
prescription,
don't go to them,
the
just
prescription
try
that you've tried
and
not to
zoom
give is for people who have attained a certain level of
Someone will raise
maturity.
their hand or at the back.
How do
I've
they
seen
get
already.
to that
Just
point?
turn and
Because
zoom. But for
it
you, somebody
seems
can
to be
move to the
skipped
front a
in
little bit.
your
Are you sure the tripod is
in your eating.
It's stiff. She will unlock it. Oh, don't worry. The question is over.
I think.
Don't worry. It's
Really, it's always dangerous when you try not to be too prescriptive. I must admit that. But you know, the child also needs guidance. But that is why you get to discover your child. What are his favorites when you go to school? You get to find out also. So I think, again, when we are dealing with early literature, it's a question of finding out
I'll keep my eyes
for
on
the teacher. What is it this child likes? What does he like to do? And then you make available that. That would be my simple answer to that. That yes, you won't be too prescriptive. Because you are dealing with. I still say that if a child is not going to write an exam on this, why are you forcing him to do it? Find out what he likes to do.
Koshi àti another one. I want to try VMix. Bóyá máa wá sórí VMix.
Because, like I said, there are many books I want to read. I start reading, I can't finish.
How about the streaming? I'm recording.
Because I know
I'm not
those
shutting down.
books
Sorry,
don't touch my
VMix.
life
Mo fẹ́
space.
tẹ̀ jàre.
So we make it complicated.
Ó ti ń bí mi nínú because when the first body came out,
to read what you like to read.
Méjèèjì tó kọ́kọ́
And
máa
to
kò
read the
tán.
best
So I did
what
not
you
even
want
have
to
the
do.
chance to
Check what
do
she's
this.
doing. Check what
I think there's a prison now, is it in Sweden or somewhere?
No.
Check it
I read
online.
about
Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
No, let's check it here.
That when you read, is it 4 books or something? It reduces some the days you spend in prison. You know? But I found out that they didn't say what kind of book.
No, don't join in, please. It will affect. Please watch it.
Oh yes. Is that when you read? It's when you read what you want to read. They didn't say you must read this or this or this. So you prepare the child to be able to know what he wants and encourage him along that line. You know, and ultimately that analogy of Peter will still come in that the church will not get to.
All right. So the second person that raised their hand, I think we had two, right? Okay. Was number two was the second person that raised their hand? I forgot it now. Okay, let's just take number two.
I'm not okay,
I
but
think we have
there are
one
certain
hand.
things we need to solve first before I even add any other person.
Okay, because if you need somebody for content, you mentioned somebody that will give you content.
Just tap
You
on
have
it.
somebody that can do that.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Toby.
Okay. Yeah.
Good afternoon,
You
everyone.
have somebody that
Sir,
can
I have my question. This is it. There are other things that distract
What's your
children
name?
aside technologies.
So you can just type
How do we go
so
about
get the
it?
person.
There are other things like child abuse, all these things that distract us aside technology because you have been emphasizing on technology. I would like you to enlighten us more about that.
I think I'll direct that
Okay,
question.
let's see what you think.
You're right. There are so many things that distract innovate. I remember in my book, A Father's Pride, the child was being abused
All of them
physically.
came late.
You know, a lot of people think that when you talk about domestic abuse, it's only between a husband and a wife, maybe a husband beating a wife and all of that. But you know, there is emotional abuse, there is physical abuse, and there are so many psychological abuse and all of that. So, for instance, when you see a child, I don't know how many of you who knows about the Child's Rights
When they
Act.
brought it, Wi-Fi.
You know, how many of you knows about it, the Child's Rights Act? You know about it, okay? A lot of states in Nigeria has implemented it, but unfortunately, many people don't know about it. Any child who is less than 18 years is not an adult, is a child. And a lot of us assume that when a child maybe hits poverty and all of that, is automatically an adult, but that is wrong. So any person who is less than 18 years is still a child, and a child has a right to education, good food, shelter, and all of that. So if you're in a home or in an environment where you're being abused, whether physically or emotionally, you have to report. You have to report to a responsible adult around you, or your teacher, your principal. Don't keep quiet. And please, young adults, when you see your friend who used to be happy suddenly appearing in school looking gloomy and sad, you have to ask questions. What is happening at home? You might just be the rescuer that child needs, that friend needs. So make a report. Don't be cowed into silence. Don't be told, you know, if you make this report, I'm going to kill you or all of that. So when you see a child, or if you're even being physically abused or emotionally abused, whether by your parents or any adult around you, you have to report. You have to report maybe to the Ministry of Youth and Social Welfare or please don't keep quiet. That's the first step. So that you can, you know, extricate yourself from that shackle of oppression. Please pardon my high language. So you have to make a report. Please don't keep quiet, because the abuser, they will want to make you to keep quiet. They want to isolate you from your friends. And when you see people isolating another person, maybe that person is a victim of one form of abuse or the other. So I know that a lot of young adults, a lot of children are going through so much distraction, domestic abuse and all of that. Please don't keep quiet. I appeal to you, don't keep quiet. Make sure you report. Even if you have to go to the police to report, please do that. Don't keep quiet.
Yeah.
So that's my answer.
And just to add to that also, just to add to that, not a question, just to add to that, concerning this law, I think to our teachers too, please, we appeal to you to, I think help us get the details of this law and read it with them so that they can know, because we need, for your state, we have the laws established. I think we have the sector, we have the SGPV law, yes, we have your state, so they can know. We have, I think I've also worked with them that we also do this thing. So please, it's important that we know, every children must know that they have rights. So I think
I put it into one.
You want to ask one question? Sorry, we can't. Okay, so please. So just before you ask your question, I think we just have two rooms for one question. And the question one student to ask the question, please. We apologize, please. This session is actually designed for the children.
It's not
right?
with
So,
me again.
do you have any other student that would like to ask a question?
The photographer.
Okay, so let me do this like
Wait,
this.
I'm coming.
What's the first one?
Will you move the...
Okay, so this is one.
Coming, no.
Like we are one.
Oh yeah, Genesis 50 now.
We are one. I think just stand up so I can identify. Just stand up, don't worry. You are no, I mean the
It's supposed to be on an
one.
hard
Stand
drive.
up now. Then who is two now? Okay, let's go two. Let's go two. I'm sorry. Are you from the same school? Okay, so different school, one school, one school. Don't worry, she'll ask you. Don't worry, she'll represent your school. Don't worry. So no, just stand so I can notify you. So we have these are the two questions we are taking now. So please just ask your question quickly.
Question is that.
Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3. Please, we can't go as fast. Please. Say apologies, please. We have to run now.
If you love reading, must you love writing?
If you love
reading, must you also love writing?
Please. No, you don't use mine. Solomon.
Mr.
Solomon. Phone to what?
She has answered you right.
Use this one to record
it's not the same.
asking
Loving
pictures
reading
and
doesn't
this
mean
guy.
you also love writing. But there's something I also want to react to your other question and the first question, which is there's one truth we have to tell ourselves in this room. What the parents need to do for their children, the writer can't do it. That's a fact. That's a fact. There was a panel where I was sitting where we were talking about underprivileged kids, and now we can get books across to them, and everybody was just going on and on, coming up with ideas. And I remember Yejide Kilanko, a writer, was sitting next to me, and she said, Ayo, those kids need food.
Why is he overlaying?
Why are you talking about books? You know,
it's still showing.
At that moment it dawned on me, like, for real, they need food, they need shelter. Why are we talking about books? So that thing you raised about a child being molested, and that is stifling your academic growth or your love for reading, can actually be answered in your house. What's the role of the father? How is he attentive to you? What's the role of the mother? How is she attentive to the child? What about your maybe older cousins and your teachers? There should always be somebody, an adult around that can see through. Because if you read the book,
yes, just mount it on the tripod.
It's not like it was the aunt, right, that was actually abusing the girl. So it had to be the teacher, the school to now find like, something is wrong here. So the book might not be the one to jump out and turn into a human and answer this question. There are some things that the parents will do. So when I talk about all this book discipline and all this kind of stuff, it starts from the home. Children learn by modeling. You watch what the adults are doing. So if you find parents that love reading, definitely you will read. That's a fact. But imagine your dad goes out in the morning, comes home at night and takes his dinner and goes to sleep. Your mom goes out in the morning, calls you and say, yeah, you go and wash plates. You sweep the rug, and goes to sleep. What do you think happens? You won't find any reason to want to actually be disciplined towards reading. So this is to the parents in the room. It's not just about writers doing their own bits. You need to do your bits. They need to see you reading. I have little kids too, but because my work revolves around writing and reading, so they always see me with books. And they pick it up and they are just opening the pages. The other one will try to create her own story like this, that. She's just saying, I'm listening like, okay, that's cool. That's a start.
Use
why?
This.
Because
that
is what
space.
I do. Another thing I do is I talk a lot on the phone because of my job. And she grabs her own little
Can I take a
always
picture of this
talking. So
camera?
it's modeling. It happens a lot. So the home will need to, the parents will need to do their part, the writers will do their part. Do you understand? So, and I hope that really helps.
All right, so the next question.
No.
Please quickly.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, my little time I have, how can I be a good writer and be the best?
Little time, okay.
Okay, let me just do a quick one. I can remember when there's a book that one in the Nigerian Branch of Literature they said the book is titled it's over there. And somebody now wrote something about the book and the author, and they said, that's only Olugbeli, the author is a prolific writer. So I'm picking on that. And somebody asked the question and said, can you point me to the other books that she has written? Say she's a prolific writer. And there was no answer. Thank you. So this is the book. This is the book. This is the biggest book in Nigeria now. So try and get it. Actually it is, and it's a very good book. So, but interestingly, this is Onyolubele's first book. Wow. And that doesn't make her a prolific writer. Do you get? Prolificity comes from that to pieces like to create more and more. So maybe you've done like 10 or 20 or more. That's why you can somebody is prolific. So for someone like at your age, they say tiny drops of water will make an ocean. You have to start small. You have to write your first song. You have to write your first book. Then when you're done with that, you move to maybe you first write your first short story or your first poem or whatever it is that you're working on. You start with one. Then you increase the number accordingly. Then maybe someday you become a prolific writer. So,
all right. So the next question. So let's get it as fast as possible. All right. So quickly.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is, as we all know, books means creativity and imagination. But with the advent of AI, don't you think creativity is in greater peril?
I mean, who would like to answer?
Okay, yeah. In every forum like this, I always like to talk about the dangers of AI. AI is good and all of that, but we have to be very careful on our usage of AI so that it doesn't take away our creativity. But then when you read a book that is written with the aid of AI, you will know. Yes, there is always that lack of human touch. There is always something lacking. Like I would say, you see hanging modifiers and all of that. It's not the same. When you read something that was written by AI, if you're very observant, you know that it's not the same as one that was written from the point of view of one's creativity and imagination. Yeah, I know that AI is trying to erode creativity, but we should be on the watch out. So that's my answer best.
All right, so let's just take the last question now. Very quickly, please, we have to wrap up.
Good morning, y'all. I wanted to ask my question actually. The question is about how would you advise students to adapt to good reading habits in secondary school for science students?
Okay, science students, please, the floor is yours.
Peculiar is not sure.
I don't want to be like as if you are reaction and going over and over on this all over again.
How do you know?
For science students
because she didn't talk.
Like me, I think your first job is reading, because science requires a lot of reading. You are learning about something in chemistry, in biology, in physics. You need to read. There's something called active reading, there's something called passive reading. So whichever model works for you, whether it's actively, like you open the book and sit with it, or passive, like purpose,
No more
you can
questions.
actually get an audio book or something or something, you get a summary, you know, you build that culture because there's actually a need. You have to understand that there is a need for you to read. For example, when Mrs. Deji was talking about AI and all that, if you are not reading enough, I can tell you that you cannot tell the difference between something that is written by AI and one that is not.
It's not good.
That's
What
a
do you
fact.
mean?
Do you understand? So it's those that are reading often and all that, like, okay, this is this and that is that, you know. When Prof was talking about the new Nobel laureate and say, he's struggling with the way the guy writes his stuff and all that, that man's style. And it's actually neat. It is difficult. Or it's difficult bone, you know, it requires a lot of active reading for you to sit with it before you enjoy it. Now, Prof provide a solution. So you can see, you can go back at it again, which is you start by reading what you love. If it is picture books that you like, you will read it. Like the story I told you, The Giving Tree. It's a picture book for children. It's a bestseller. It's an international bestseller. It's been around for like 40, 50 years. You know? So imagine something as simple as that that can actually touch your heart. Read more books that connect with you. So if you are saying that okay, you are good with all these picture books, you can move to chapter books. You go from chapter books, you go, and all these books have all these learning curves in them. So it's not like when you read a super big book like this means that all the lessons you are looking for are in them. It doesn't mean you can read something very simple and very small, and it will touch you and to add meaning to you. So before you can build the habits, you have to like it. So start by reading the things you like, and that way you can make progress.
Please, a round of applause for them. So right about now, right about now, the last thing we're going to be doing is that we're going to be taking readings, and we'll start with Professor, we'll start with Prof, and just take any portion. Okay. Okay, so I think it's not I think you can start then. Any portion. You can just tell us the title of the book, where you're reading from, and we can all enjoy from that portion. By the way, we hope we all enjoy our guests.
So I'm supposed to read a little bit because of our time.
Yeah.
So this book is titled The Magic Jalabia, written by me.
The Magic Jalabia.
The Magic Jalabia, illustrated by Valor Icha. And this falls under what they call middle grade novels.
Middle grade.
So which is like something for like ages 10 to like 14. But this is Nigeria, so which means all of you can read it and all of you have a lot to learn. Because as a matter of fact, 10 to 14-year-olds in Nigeria might still struggle a bit with books like this. That's the funny part. So the idea behind writing this book came from the question which my friends will say, when it's time for the Nobel announcement, Africa is always waiting for the Nobel Prize in Literature. What about the one in physics? What about the one in economics? And I will say that the stories that we have been telling does not actually inspire the children to have it in mind that someday they will win that Nobel Prize in physics. That is the truth. If you go across our forms of literature, we don't usually point to these intelligent stories because we feel like the kids are not smart enough. So this book basically tells the story of two homeless kids that find a magical robe which you call jalabia, mostly one in another part of the country. Where it is, I have one at home, you know. And they found it and they used it to teleport across states, places, tourist sites in Nigeria. Not only do they do that, they now teleport into the future. To just have an idea of what does the future hold for them. So the story shows the picture of what they can be in the future and what Nigeria can look like in let's say 20, 30 years from now. So I'm just going to read a little bit from it. You might not get a full angle, but let's just read. So the early morning clouds slid under the sun. Bashir hurried to pick up his football, which was attached to a long string. Barefooted, they set out into the heart of the city. When they reached where the strange man was, he was missing. But Hamza's empty bowl was left behind. A wordless definition of joy made Hamza's eyes sparkle as he picked up his bowl. He was pleased the man had regained his strength after eating his meal. 3 turns to the left and 2 to the right led them to the central area. Street traders were setting up their stores, cars stopped, traffic lights blinked, people heading to work brushed past them. They passed the few buildings before stopping in front of a big black gate. We are here, Hamza said, raising his chin, stating the obvious. The two boys joined the long queue of Almajirai at the entrance. The children screamed with delight when the gate screeched open. An older woman came out with a sack full of plastic food packs. She handed them to the children one after the other with a slight smile. Hamza collected his food pack with thanks. Bashir hurriedly opened his food pack. In it was their favorite, tuwo shinkafa, with a piece of meat as big as their ears. They left the place and pushed through the famous market. At first, Bashir touched every store they rushed past with the tip of his fingers. When they got to the fruit section of the market, he swiped some bananas and oranges from the table and stuffed them inside his red bomber jacket. Hamza was about to chastise Bashir when the fruit seller yelled, "Thieves!" The man cursed and ran after them. Hamza knew they were in deep trouble. He piggybacked Bashir and broke into a run. He understood every corner of the market and made good use of it. He curved around stores, knocked off tables, jumped over benches, and squeezed through gates. A few more traders in the market joined in the chase. "Barawo Banza," they shouted. Just before they got to the path that led to the main road, Bashir's billowing jacket caught a jutting tree branch. Forcefully, he pulled the jacket and broke free, ripping a bit of the jacket. Sadly, his food pack fell from his hand and the contents disappeared under a cloud of dust. Hamza continued running without looking back. Beads of sweat were dripping from his nose as if all the warm air in the market followed him. With the angry traders still in hot pursuit, they arrived at the hidden entrance of the familiar tunnel. Hamza carefully lowered Bashir into the tunnel before disappearing inside. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's over to you, man.
25th word.
Even though it's not for young adults, it's for adults.
Yes,
The excerpt I'm going to read from is what happened in secondary school. You know, so that's what I'm going to read from.
So the title of the book is
See Morocco's History, and this book currently is on the shortlist for the Chinua Achebe Prize 2025. Chinua Achebe Prize for Literature 2025. So I want to read this session because a lot of children, a lot of you right now are thinking about what your future career is going to be, and some people might start deceiving you. Oh, after secondary school, why don't you travel to Europe or travel to wherever? And some of them might also suggest that you travel through the Sahara Desert. Please beware, it's a very dangerous decision to take. Okay? All right. When we were in SS2, our English teacher assigned my class to write about our future careers. Without copying from one another, we all stated the same thing. Our future career was to travel. Mr. Tin was enraged. Traveling abroad is not a career, he stated, while reprimanding us. We were surprised at his reaction. Traveling was the only ambition we harbored in our young hearts. It was a sure way of achieving the good life. Mr. Tin was bent on persuading us out of it. He maintained that traveling abroad was not a career and told us point blank that we were shallow-minded, but our minds belonged to us, not him. I concluded that our success in Europe after a few years will make him eat his words. He will be ashamed when he sees us driving our cars when we return to Benin City from Europe. God help him. If there is a puddle of water on the road, any day I see him on the road, I will surely splash muddy water on him before offering him a ride. That day, I will remind him that I was one of the students he described as shallow-minded in his English class. He chose to settle for teaching as a career. We did not decide that for him. Ours was a greater ambition. I did not think Mr. Tin was truly happy being a school teacher. His long neck and hollow cheeks were not natural physical endowments. They were hunger-induced features. I was certain he was secretly jealous of us and how early we identified what we wanted for our future. His next action proved me right. He handed our answer sheets back to us and insisted that we must rewrite our essays. According to him, he expected our essay to be more descriptive. add more flesh to the essay, he said, I have taught you how to write a descriptive essay. So I want to see it in your answers. Describe your future career with enough details. As he spoke, he got angrier. The hollows on his cheeks deepened, and the vein on his neck became more pronounced. If you still insist that life is all about traveling, no problem, he continued. But I want to read how you intend to make your trips. I need a description of your destinations. Many of you have written that you will travel to Europe, but you are too daft to know that Europe is a continent, not one country. So describe your proposed country of destination, how you intend to get there, and how life is over there. Each of the return answers scripts had rewrites crawled on them. Mr. Tim always demanded the impossible. How can we describe our destination when we are yet to arrive? We had no clue. Only Omige seemed to have his life all laid out before him. He was sure of his destination. Omige always boasted of his links with the royal family. His maternal great-grandmother and the Oba's paternal grandfather were second cousins. He said he will attend Wolverhampton University immediately after our egg. We had never heard of a place called Wolverhampton before. We doubted if such a place existed. Maybe Omige was making it up in his usual boastfulness, but he swore that the town exists. Omige went on to list some other cities in England and taught us how to pronounce them: Leicester, Durham, Dulwich, and Marlborough. After he wrote the name of the cities, he asked us to pronounce them. Each time we did, he laughed hilariously before telling us the proper way to pronounce them. We envied Omige, especially as his traveling plan was in place. It seemed he already had the United Kingdom visa, while many of us did not even own a passport. To begin the task of rewriting the essays, we decided to have group discussions. We needed to know how everyone's desired destination, so we could write a descriptive essay from whatever information we had about the country. Europe was the dream destination of half of the class. Everyone except me had a cousin, uncle, or aunt in Europe. In Germany, they manufacture cars, Sonny stated. I will go into car importation once I arrive Germany and settle in. And in Spain, they manufacture shoes, Ehizoge stated. No, it's in Italy that they manufacture shoes. I countered. I may not have relatives anywhere in the much about Italian shoes and bags. In Switzerland, they make lace. You see all these jacquard lace and Swiss lace, they are all from Switzerland. The remark was from Osadolo, and no one countered him. He spoke with authority. His uncle, we all knew, lived in Switzerland. Those who saw Osadolo during the last Igwe festival swore he wore jacquard lace. For a teenager to wear a jacquard was a wonder. Only words could accomplish that. We rewrote the essays and submitted them to Mr. Tim. But Hisoge added a curious angle to his essay by sketching a river separating two stretches of land. He captured one stretch of land, Morocco, and the other, Spain. Mr. Tim looked at the submission and became furious. This is not a geography or biology class, he said angrily. Why will you include drawings in an English assignment? I wanted to give a good description, sir. Hisoge protested as he defended his essay. You said you wanted a descriptive essay. We giggled. So what are the meaning of these drawings? These are the countries of Morocco and Spain, sir. He responded defensively. See Morocco, see Spain. He said, throwing his hand this way and his other hand the other way to explain the proximity of the two countries, pointing them at explain the sketches on his answer. His explanation drew more muffled laughter from us. Ehizoge was not done, sir. That was how my elder brother traveled. Immediately he got to Morocco, he crossed the water and entered Spain. So that is the deception we get from all these agents who may want to, tell you that you want to get to Morocco, you just cross a river and enter Spain. But that river is the Mediterranean Sea, and many have drowned trying to cross over to Europe. So please beware when people start talking to you about going to Europe through the Sahara Desert.
Please, a round of applause for our once again. And lastly, Prof, over to you, sir.
If you don't mind, I'll stand up. You see, I will not read very well.
Okay.
Because my teacher is here. Your teacher is always with you. And because he's here, I'm standing up. And because he's here, I will not read very well. But the title of it is myself. actually for me, I've always aimed at gateway.
Take it from here.
Okay.
You know, the kind of literature that takes the child into adult literature. We call it gateway literature. And I think the most typical or the most famous is To Kill a Mockingbird. Because you find To Kill a Mockingbird, you are going to find a grandfather is going to the US, a grandfather, the father, and the son, they've all read it. So it's almost like it's what you use to go into adult. So I've always aimed at writing at that kind of literature. And this is the second one. The first one is the one we talked about. Now the title of this is The Third Side of the Coin. You know, every so often we say a coin has two sides. But in this book I'm trying to say no, a coin doesn't have two sides. It actually has three sides. Yes, there is a side it starts on. You see, one side is on here, the other side can be on. But if you want to put it, there's a side it can stand on. That is the third side. And so every case really has three sides from which you can look at it. And the boy in this book is aged 11. He's coming from a particular background. And he's there in Abuja growing up. So what it means is, you have this Igbo boy who has a Yoruba mother, who has, of course, an Igbo grandfather who fought in the Civil War. And the experiences at home, you see, we're all a bundle of experiences. And then he goes in out of the shelter of the home. So, and they have this guard who is Hausa. So there is a lot of cultural mix-up. And the boy doesn't really understand anything. And so the father will try to explain to him. So I want to read a very brief passage. This boy was given an essay to write in school. And he writes the essay. And as far as he was concerned, the essay was very well written. And when the assignment is distributed, he finds that the teacher had given him a 0. And he couldn't understand why it's called a 0. In an essay he wrote very well. So he takes it to the father. And the father read it. The father is convinced that there is no way this essay can be 0. And so the father decides to see the teacher. That causes a lot of problems. The PTA became involved because some people are going to withdraw their children. And then that case had to be settled. I won't go, let me just read the essay the guy wrote. And they have called it that. I'll just read it. The exercise is in national civic values. That's what the essay is on. National civic values. They give it to 11-year-old kids in school. And so that's what he was to write. And this is the essay he wrote. My grandfather was a citizen of Nigeria. He was also a citizen of Biafra. He was first a citizen of Nigeria. When the war happened, he became a citizen of Biafra. When the war ended, Biafra died, and my grandfather became a citizen of Nigeria again. He died as a citizen of Nigeria. His work in Biafra was to take care of wounded soldiers. Some of those wounded soldiers are now beggars. And they have transferred to my dad the respect they had for my grandfather. In the East Central State of Nigeria, he became a magistrate as a grandfather. He said no to bribery and corruption and left to work with the Ministry of Justice in Sokoto State. When he retired, because he was so good, they gave him a first bedroom building in Yengia Abdallah Housing Estate in Sokoto, which is where my dad and my uncle grew up and where my grandmother is still living. My grandfather was hardworking. He served Nigeria and Biafra with obedience, loyalty, dedication, honesty, transparency, and patriotism. That was the end of his essay. And the teachers called him zero. And this guy cannot understand. Why should I score a zero for this? You see? So that's what this book is all about. A small child trying to negotiate all these things. How does he make it simple? Like he goes to school and he writes an innocent case. And the teacher says no. And when the teacher was called, the teacher said, isn't it a national policy that you don't mention Biafra? So why should you write an essay about it? But his grandfather was a Biafra. So that is the three sides of the coin. Thank you.
Please a round of applause for Professor Aitune Sebazi. And please a round of applause for our guests again. On the panel session we had Professor Aitune Sebazi, author of Third Side of the Coin. We had Ayo Yeku, author of The Magic Jalabia. And also we had Indidi Chiazo Enamo, the author of let's see Morocco system, because I've seen lots of books here. Please a round of applause for them as we officially wrap up this session. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been an amazing time right here. And while we were also having the school session, we had some of our uncles and brothers who are sitting at the back. And of course, things are about to change now. So please, yes, let's a round of applause for yourselves again. I would like to also thank the teachers who came with them. And right about now, we are moving into the festival proper. So I wouldn't know. I think I got word now that. Like I said, the school session is now officially over, and then we now to let our uncles and brothers at the back now come in. So for those that would like to wait, it's okay to wait, but we just have to do some little rearrangement so that we can so we're able to accommodate everyone into the building. So once again, a round of applause for our guests. We just wrapped up the school session. And right about now, we are officially starting the festival, and I'd like to especially welcome everyone for making it down here. Alright, so I think, okay, so we have some of our students leaving, right? So let's have that so that we can also have people coming. Like I said, please, for the schools that would love to wait, you can wait. But if you like to go, please, we implore that you go in an orderly fashion so we can quickly have that. Let's have some music, please, if possible.
Can we have Prof's speech? Who's taking pictures for the schools as they go?
Bonabo.
So schools and maybe schools as they do.
Yeah, give me
Who's taking pictures of the schools as they do?
Give me camera. Give me camera.
Try this. Hey, chief.
I'll take it. Bring memory card.
The memory card is this.
Okay. Yeah. Genesis, how do we get this on the
What do you want to do?
The link to download this thing.
What kind of camera is this?
Tell him to help you set it then. The flash? The flash is on the side, but it's not the flash that is the problem. Tell him to help you with the settings. Is this yours?
All right. So please, if you're at the back, there's space at the front. Please, if you're at the back, you can just come to the front so that we can have more spaces at the back. Please, if you're at the back, there are spaces in the front. We just want to, yes, thank you very much. All right, so please, you can just come to the front. We have more spaces at the front, so you can just come so that we can also have spaces at the back to accommodate everyone that is coming into the hall. We especially welcome you.
Don't worry.
All right, please, let's have more people come to the front. We have enough spaces in the front. We have enough spaces in the front to accommodate everybody. So that we can also have spaces at the back.
You gave me this SD card, right?
So we have the front.
I think you're using it for me.
Sorry. Leave her. Please go and take this thing. Back. Content. Okay?
again want to encourage everyone to please come to the front. If you see an empty seat in front of you, you can come to the front. Okay. Let's have.
Where's the memory card?
Yes. Please, once again, we have space for everyone. If you have to find the space. Please, we encourage everyone to please come to the front, please. And for our dignitaries, we have space on the floor also. Please kindly fill the front seat, the empty seat in front of you, please.
The mic, you make it, mic, yeah. Rearrange stage,
I want to end live stream. I want to charge that phone. What's it?